Okay, the dish we're making today is avgolemono. That's Greek egg and lemon soup. I first learned this recipe maybe 30 years ago. A friend of mine showed me this. It's a simple soup. It's easy to make and it tastes absolutely delicious. Probably in my top 5 favorite soups to make. I try to make it once a year. I'm going to make a few deviations to the recipe that I first learned. These deviations are not really going to affect the outcome much, but mostly the changes I'm going to make are to give the soup a little more color. Avgolemono made traditionally is very pale looking with very little texture to it. So I'm going to add a couple of colorful vegetables and herbs, and then it'll at least look better, but it should taste very much like traditional avgolemono. Okay, we only have maybe a month or two of soup season here in Hawaii. It's just too warm here to enjoy soups year round. So every year I make at least one New England clam chowder, at least one gumbo, avgolemono once, and then I get it out of my system. Anyways, let's go in and look at the ingredients. Okay, these are the ingredients we're going to use to make this soup. First of all, a chicken, one whole chicken. Okay, there's some salt and pepper there. Okay, on this cutting board, clockwise from the top left-ish should be 3 extra large eggs. I couldn't find extra large, so I'm using 4 large eggs. 3 juicy lemons. You can tell they're juicy because of how heavy they are relative to their size. So they should have a little bit of heft to them, and they should be a little squeezable. If they're really hard, they're probably not ripe. Anyways, 1 medium-sized sweet onion, a couple of decent-sized ribs of celery, some carrot, fresh thyme, and short grain brown rice. Typically this dish is made with short grain white rice, and also the measurement would be 1 cup of rice per 1 whole chicken. I'm using 1.5 cups because I like brown rice, and I'm using brown rice because I like brown rice. It's not going to change the outcome of the soup by much, but it's a small deviation from the traditional recipe. Let's talk about the chicken. Okay, I'm using an organic chicken. Okay, I don't buy everything organic, and when the whole organic movement started, I was a little suspicious that it may be used to kind of game the system and people would sell things as organic at organic prices when they really weren't organic. But one time I got the chance to try an organic chicken, and I'm a cheerleader for this product. It is far superior than the yellowish flesh, even brownish flesh chicken you get from the chickens that are processed on those massive chicken farms. You know the ones I'm talking about. So this, it seems almost as though while you're cooking it, the meat doubles in volume, and it's a real clean, snowy white breast instead of a kind of yellowish brown flesh that you get from the other companies. And it tastes so much better. It is more expensive. I was used to buying, I don't know, $8 chickens that were frozen. My first organic chicken cost me $27. And I kind of freaked at that until I tried it. So we're using that today. After the pandemic, I expected this to be about a $60 chicken. It was $32, so it was an easy choice. Okay, try it if you want, but you can use, the next best would be a fresh chicken. You know, if it wasn't organic, a fresh chicken is better than a frozen one, but even a frozen cheap chicken is going to work with this dish. Okay, you want to rinse the chicken off real well in cold water. Okay, there are 2 schools of thought here. Some say don't wash off a chicken, it just spreads salmonella around your kitchen, and they're probably right. But what you're doing is you're rinsing off any possible feces from the chicken farm. We don't know how well they were cleaned after they were butchered. So you just want to wash off things that you don't want in your food, and it could very well be exactly that, feces. So yeah, I wash off the chicken and then I sanitize the kitchen. Simple as that. Then you want to put it in a deep stock pot and cover it till it's just covered with cold water. Okay, here's something I left out of the ingredients. A few bay leaves into the water. Okay, so you're going to put this on a medium heat until it starts slowly simmering. So I'm going to try just medium first. And you're going to cook it for around 45 minutes or until the meat starts pulling away from the bone. What you're doing is you're making your own chicken stock. Okay, so we're going to put the rice in just a few minutes. It's going to cook most of the time with the chicken. Short grain brown rice will probably take about 45 minutes to cook anyways. Once you have done that and the chicken's done being cooked, you're going to pull it out and put it on a plate to cool while you prepare the rest of the soup. Okay, I'm going to cut the onion first. It's going to be just like a rough medium dice. Okay. Take some of the strings out of the celery by breaking the top off, peeling the strings like that. And also do it with the bottom. Take a few more. For carrots, I'm just going to eyeball how much I think I want. I just want some color in there, so take about that much carrot. It's probably pretty good right there. And then I'm going to do my least favorite thing in the world, and that is strip off all the leaves from this thyme. That is just drudgery to do that. Okay, it's starting to simmer a little bit right now, so I'm just going to add some salt. Okay, I'm going to add enough salt to where I know it's not enough. Okay, because I'm going to adjust it later. If I overestimate, I can't take the salt out. You want to skim this foam off too. That kind of purifies the stock. Okay, this is the perfect kind of ladle for that too. I'm going to crack some black pepper into here. going to look like a lot, but this is going to be a lot of soup. I can adjust that too later. And just started simmering, so I'm going to add the short grain brown rice. I think I'm going to turn it down a little. It's simmering a little rapidly. Turn it down a teeny bit. Okay, so a half hour's passed. I'm going to add the thyme now. Now I mentioned thyme's not a traditional herb in this soup, although I did see a couple of recipes online that added fresh dill, and that sounds like it would be good too. But I chose thyme because I'm wanting to add a little speckle of color to the soup. It's a real pale soup if you don't. And also thyme and chicken go so well together. Thyme and lemon go good together. Black pepper and thyme. I think it'll work. This is the first time I'm trying it. Okay, I've turned the chicken over. I just want to make sure that it cooks evenly. Okay, a few words on those last ingredients I added thyme as an herb. In the past, I've added fresh oregano and fresh basil for the same reason, for color and just something complementary, and they worked fine too, but I'm trying thyme today. And as far as the carrots, I decided to add the rest of that carrot. I started out only using 2/3 of it. I said that's probably enough. I decided a little bit more was better. Okay, now for the interesting part of this soup. Here's the eggs. They've been mixed with this whisk. Looks like kind of a lot to me. I'm just going to leave it and see how the soup comes out. Now we have to mix the juice of these lemons in here. Okay, so we're going to roll them to try and break up the pulp and maybe get a juicier lemon. It already feels pretty juicy. Okay, so just it didn't work. Okay, get the juice out of here. Okay, so what we need to do is temper the eggs. The eggs should have started out at room temperature. You don't want to put cold eggs into a hot sauce because then you're just going to make scrambled eggs in there. So you're going to try to get the two temperatures as close as possible. This is called tempering the eggs. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit of the warm soup into the room temperature egg mixture, but I'm going to use this sieve to keep all the vegetables and herbs out of the broth. Okay, and then the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of set the warm ladle in the eggs. Keep the eggs moving around so they don't cook against the ladle. I'm just going to warm the eggs a little bit, and then I'm going to just slowly add a little bit of broth, warm broth, at a time, so I don't scramble the eggs and cook them quickly. It's almost like making an emulsion, but it's not an emulsion. This is just something you want to take time with. So I'm going to keep doing this. That's why I put these eggs and lemon in such a large bowl, because I'm going to add quite a bit of broth to this until they're close to the same temperature. And then I'm going to do it in reverse, and I'm going to slowly add the egg mixture into the stock pot of soup. And this should thicken it and also give it that amazing lemon flavor. After that, I'm going to shred the skin off of the chicken and then shred the meat off of the bones and add the meat only back into the soup. Okay, I've added 4 full ladles, these giant ladles of soup, slowly into the egg mixture. And it's really smooth. I'm not seeing any little pieces of cooked egg. Even if you do, the soup is going to taste just the same. When I first started making this soup, after I first learned, I didn't really understand tempering, and I would end up with little pieces of egg whites in the soup. And then I ended up making friends with a guy from Greece, maybe about 10 years ago. And he taught me the whole putting the ladle, warm ladle, into the soup trick. And then, since then, I've learned to slowly add some of the hot soup into the egg mixture. And then in the reverse, we'll add this mixture slowly into the soup. But first, I'm going to put it back on the heat. Okay. So the first observation I have about this soup is I put the rice in too soon. I used to always put it in with the chicken. Maybe I'm taking more time with the soup now, but the rice is overcooked. And next time I'll probably put it in maybe 15 minutes before the chicken's done cooking. It's not a total disaster, but I like rice a little more al dente than that. Anyways, I'm going to keep moving this soup as much as I can while I add these eggs back in. And then I'm going to go over to the chicken and take the skin off first and discard it. Shred the meat and slowly add it back in here. And then it should be done. Okay, so this is the result. This is how avgolemono looks after you add those eggs and lemon. It turns into a real creamy looking soup. Now this is on the thin side because the eggs haven't completely finished cooking. The eggs help thicken it, and so does the rice. Okay. So anyways, I'm going to keep stirring it until it thickens up. It also doesn't have enough black pepper flakes, so we're going to do a little more of that. Then I'm going to taste it for salt, and then start shredding the chicken. Okay. I'm going to take this bowl that I had the eggs in and use that to get rid of the skin. Just take a fork and just kind of peel it off. That's cool enough I can use my hands. You want to make sure no small bones end up in the soup. People are going to eat the soup with the expectation that there are no bones in it. So really make sure, sometimes very small bones, parts of the collarbone or something, might try to get in there. Anyways, quite a bit of chicken yielded from that organic chicken. That's going to go great in the soup. Okay, all the chicken's in. Look at how much chicken is in this. This is perfect. I did a taste test. I added more pepper, and I added a lot more salt, and I added the juice of 2 more lemons. Okay, and now it tastes to me like avgolemono. So now we'll serve it and enjoy. Okay, so we're ladling up the avgolemono. Okay, steaming hot. I toasted a little bit of sourdough bread. I thought that would go good with it, and buttered it. That might go good with it. Okay, and then David wants a little more than that. Yeah, it thickened up almost to the consistency of a New England chowder, which is nice. Nice and rich and luxurious. One half more. Thank you, honey. Okay. Wish you were here.